Hey, Bezos Hashem. Today's daf is Masech Baba Basra, daf Samach Hey. And we are discussing daf Samach Dalet Amid Beis, Itmar. So it's on the bottom of daf Samach Dalet Amid Beis. Let's say what we're discussing over here is, let's say I write you a contract and you have a doubt. What did I mean in the contract? Did I mean to be generous with you? And if you have a doubt, if this is included into the price in the deal, so is a machlokes between Chachamim and Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says that a seller will sell with ayin yafa. Ayin yafa means he's like Rabbi Akiva Sava. You see where my finger is? Ayin yafa humoicha. He sells with a good eye. So whatever you're in doubt, is it included in the sale? Rabbi Akiva says it's included in the sale. Rabbanan hold ayin ra moicha. A person sells with a stingy eye. And therefore, you assume if you're in doubt or what it's meant in the contract, you assume that the seller did not include it in the contract. He sold it with a stingy eye. So Itmar, we learned Rav Huna Amar Rav. Rav Huna said in the name of Rav. We go to Samachei Amar Aleph. Halacha kedivrei chachamim. The halacha is chachamim, as the Rashbam explains, that if whoever is selling, if you're in doubt, don't include it in the sale. Ba'ayin ra'al moicher. He sold it with a bad eye, and therefore he didn't include it in the sale. Obviously, this is all talking about you can't ask him anymore. Let's say he wrote the contract and died. You don't know, did he mean to include, this piece of extra land in the sale or not? Chacham said you assume that he sold ba'ayin ra'ah. Rabbi Yirmiyah Bar Abba Omer Shmuel. Rabbi Yirmiyah says in the name of Shmuel, halacha k'de Rabbi Akiva. The halacha is like Rabbi Akiva, that a person sells ba'ayin yafa. He sells with a good eye. Amalei, and therefore it's included in it. If you're in doubt, you assume that it's included in the sale. Amalei Rabbi Yirmiyah Ba'abba Rav Huna. So Rabbi Yirmiyah Ba'abba said to Rav Huna, Vazirnim Sagian. Rav Huna said, by the way, in the name of Rav, the halacha is like Chachamim, that ayin ra'ah moicha. So Rav Yirmiyah said to Rav Huna, but how could you say that Rav holds like the Chachamim ayin ra'ah? Vazimnin sagian. There was many times Amrisa kamei the Rav. I appeared before Rav. Hilchas Rabbi Akiva. I told Rav, I think the halacha is Rabbi Akiva. V'loi amali v'loi midei. Rav didn't answer anything. It seemed that Rav agreed that the halacha is like Rabbi Akiva, that ayin yafahu meicher. So how could you say in the name of Rav that Rav holds ayin ra'ah meicher? Amalei. So Rav Huna answered Rabbi Yirmiyah Ba'abba, you mixed it up. Heicha Tanisa, how did you tell Rav who said what? Amalei Ibcha Tanina. I said the reverse. I said Rabbi Akiva said ayin ra'ahu meicher, and Chacham said ayin yafahu meicher. So you reverse the opinions, and basically you said Rabbi Akiva said ayin ra moicha. That's the reason why he didn't say anything to you, because Rav's opinion is ayin ra'ahu moicha, and it doesn't matter who said it, but you said Rabbi Akiva said it, and some people say Chacham say that, but that's the opinion of Rav. Rav holds ayin ra'ahu moicha. So that's the machlekes. Rav holds like ayin ra'ahu meicher, and Shmuel holds ayin yafahu meicher. Ama le Ravina Ravashi. So Ravina said to Ravashi, Lema azal tamayo. Let us say that they aligned themselves up with their reasoning. In other words, Shmuel, who holds ayin yafahu meicher, aligns himself up with the reasoning that he said somewhere else. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Shmuel. Rav Nachman said in the name of Shmuel, Ha'achin shecholku. Let's say brothers. Let's say you have two brothers. They divided up the estate of their father. Eilehem loy derech zeh al zeh. They can't demand a path. Let's see over here in the picture over here. You have two brothers. One got the north. This is the piece of land that they divided up. One got the south, and one got the north. Now the question is, just because you got the south, how are you going to get to your land? Does the north have to give you an easement to the one that inherited the north of the land? Does he have to give you an easement to get to the south? So No, the answer is Rabbi Shmuel is going to hold that if the one who luckily got the south is going to have to purchase an easement from the one that inherited the north, even though it's basically like the guy that inherited the south. He said, "I'm getting the south, and I'm selling you your from what I own in the inheritance, and you get the north." But he sells ba'ayin yafahu meicher. He sold him the entire north, and in case he wants to, if in case he wants to get an easement to get to his land in the south, he's going to have to purchase a piece of the pathway to get to the land in the south. So that's what he says over here. So that's, you see clearly Shmuel holds that a person is ayin yafahu meicher. So let's read it inside. Shmuel said, "Achan shecholku." Achim that divided up their estate. They can't demand an easement from each one. In other words, if one needs an easement to get to his property, he's going to have to purchase it from his brother. And he can't demand that he puts up a ladder. In other words, in this picture, one got they inherited a father, inherited his bequeathed to his children a house with an upper story. And so one son got the first floor with the courtyard. The one upstairs, he just got the second floor. Well, second floor is nice to have the second floor, but according to Shmuel, he's going to have to purchase the right to put his ladder in the courtyard of the first brother to get to his second floor. Because when he divided up the estate, it's as if he sold the right to the bottom floor to his brother, and therefore he sold ba'ayin yafa. He sold everything, and therefore, if he wants to now buy a way to get to the second floor, he's going to have to purchase steps to get the right to put a ladder there. Again, and no one could put a window to block up another window. In other words, no one can stop the other brother from putting up a window. Let's see I don't see the picture over here. Oh, here we go. One brother got one house, the other one got the property next to the house. He could put up a house to block the window of the other brother. And also, Amasamayim. Let's say there's a river coming off, and Ruvain, one brother got the inner field, and the other one got the outer field. He has to buy an easement for the water to get to his field. It's not given. So basically, you see from Shmuel's opinion by inheritance, ayin yafa. When you divide up an inheritance, you basically gave up every right. And if now that you need an easement, you're going to have to purchase it. So therefore, Shmuel is of the opinion ayin achim shecholku, or when you're selling something, it's ayin yafa. And Shmuel says v'yizaru behen shalachas kavu said. This is halacha l'mayshim. See, don't ask any questions on this psak. Rav says yesh lahem. Rav says that no. That the easements are in part of the inheritance. You don't have to purchase anything separately, because Rav holds moiche ba'ayin ra'ah. So you see, the Rav and Shmuel aligned themselves up with their opinion. They said the opinions by a regular sale, and they said their opinion by an inheritance. As the Gemara tzricha, they have to tell you their opinion in both matters. The Yashmin Bahi, if we just say by an inheritance that Rav holds ayin ra'ahu moicher, he come Rav. In that way, Rav says the ayin ra mishum the amalei beina lemeida be kehecha the dare bovoluse. The guy that inherited the property can say, "Listen, I want to use the property the way Dad used the property. The father had a right to the whole property. He didn't even have to buy an easement. So therefore, when I inherited the land, I'm inheriting the land on condition that you have to give me an easement for free." Like you can see in the picture. So that's why Rav says, ayin rahu moicha. Aval baha, but in regular, because the pasuk says, tachas avisecha yiyu banecha, that the kids take the place of their father. So therefore, if the father didn't need an easement, the son that inherited the inner part of the property should say to the other brother, I don't want to have to buy an easement from you. So therefore, ayin ra aval baha, but in a regular sale, Shmuel, maybe he would agree to Shmuel, but that when you sell something, you sold it completely out without retaining any easement. But if it would just say, by this case, that Shmuel says ba'ayin yafa, if we just say by the sales case that Shmuel holds ayin yafa, Shmuel. In that case, Shmuel says ba'ayin yafa. Aba baha, by inheritance, maybe you'd agree to Rav that when it comes to inheritance, it's ayin ra'ah because he wants to use the property the way his father used the property. Tzricha, that's why you have to say the machlokes between Rav and Shmuel in both scenarios, on a regular sale and by an inheritance. The bottom line is, one holds, again, Rav holds when you're in doubt, ayin ra'ahu meicher. Shmuel holds, ayin yafahu meicher. The guy sold it and he probably included it into the sale. Amalei Rav Nachman Rav Huna. Rav Nachman, who held like Shmuel, he asked Rav Huna, Hilchas kavasin, would you paskin like me, that I paskin like Shmuel? Or do we paskin like you, who paskin like Rav, ayin ra'ahu meicher? Amalei, Rav Huna, who's the student of Rav, said, Hilchasa kavos saichu, the halacha remains like you. The mikar vise levava the reish gelusa the shchiche dayane. That what? That since you probably around dayanim who are in the reish gelusa, and they probably you probably know the halacha better than me, and therefore it seems that the halacha is like Shmuel, ayin yafa hu meicher. New Gemara, Itmar, we learned. Shnei batim zeh lifnim zeh. You have two houses, one within each other. You find that in where I rent apartments, that there's the railroad apartments, where in order to get to the back bedroom, you have to go through one bedroom to get to the next bedroom, if you know what I'm talking about. But let's say a guy sold two houses, one within each other. He had two houses. In order to get to the back house, you had to go to the front house. And he sold both houses to two different people. Either he gifted them both to two different people, or he sold them to two different people. The guy who has the inner house doesn't have an easement. He'll have to purchase an easement from the guy who got the outer house. Let's say the outer house, the one who got the front got it as a gift. The one who got the inner house had to purchase it. There is no easement. So, because when a person gives a gift, he gives it generously. But when a person gives a sale, it's not so generous. And therefore, the guy that got the inner house, if he wants to have an easement to get to his house, he's going to have to purchase an easement, a rite of passage, through the one who was gifted the outer house. But let's say you have the opposite. The first guy who got the outer house got it as a sale. So, but the one who got the inner house got it as a gift. So a mecher is, even if you hold ayin yafa hu meicher, and therefore there was no easement attached to the mecher, but once you gifted the pnimi, so you gifted it with such a generous way that you guaranteed an easement through the outer house. So the Gemara thought that the inner one who got it as a gift will have to purchase an easement from the outer one. That's not true. Almost, we see from here, from a Mishnah, whoever gives a gift, he meant to give it with a good eye, to give everything that he can as part of that gift. And since he gave the inner house as the gift, he probably gifted him an easement from the outer house to get to the inner house. So that's what we'll decide in our case, that when a person who got gifted the inner house, who got it as a gift, it was a gift whereby the easement is included in the gift, and he does not have to buy an easement from the guy that was purchased the outer house. Okay, these are halachas about sales, what's included in the sale, what's not included in the sale. We continue with our Mishnah. The Mishnah discusses someone sells a house. So obviously when you sell a house, you're selling everything that's in the house. A closet, a closet, the ceiling of the house, the lights that are in the house. But mochas adels, you sold a door, which you can't, buying a house and then you come back and the doors are not included in the house. That's obviously the doors are included in the contract. believe it or not, the locks can be removed by the seller, because the locks are technically, even though it's connected somewhat, it's somehow you can unscrew it and remove it. So that's not included in the sale of the house. Mochas as mechteshes kavua. It's you sold a mortar that's set into the house. Let's see how the picture looks. So sometimes you have a mortar that's in the house that's like cemented in, that's part of the sale. But if it's a mortar that you can move around, like an exercise bike, it's not included in the sale, right? So if it's movable, it's not included in the sale. Anything that's movable is not included in the sale. Mishnah says that when you sell something with a millstone, so the millstone itself are unmovable items, so they're included in the sale. But the keles, you see the thing that's the funnel where you put the wheat in, since that could pop out, that's not part of the sale of the house. And also that's not part of the sale of the house. Believe it or not, an oven or a kira is a mini oven, because these are movable items and they're not included in the sale contract. But bisman she'amalai hu v'chol masha b'soichai, if you said that I'm selling the house, it and everything that's in the house. Oh, so you're selling everything that's in the house that includes movable items. So we go to Samachayim Abayis, Hare Kulam Mechurem, that everything is included in the sale. Okay, so now that's the key. The key is if it's a movable item, you could, like an exercise bike or anything, an oven that you can move, that's not included in the sale. Probably a refrigerator is not included. It's movable, but a door is set into the house, and therefore that's not part of the sale. Says the Heilige Mishnah, Lema Masnisin the Loik Rabbi Meir. Would you say our Mishnah is not aligning itself with the opinion of Rabbi Meir? Rabbi Meir, if our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Meir said, Mochas a kerem, if you sell a vineyard, Mocha Tashmishi kerem, you're selling the poles of the vineyard, the things that hold up the vine. So those are movable items. So Rabbi Meir says when you sell a kerem, a vineyard, you're selling also the movable items of the vineyard. And our Mishnah says that when you sell a house, you're not selling the movable items in the house. So our Mishnah does not align itself with Rabbi Meir. That's the Gemara is saying right now. So the Gemara says, Afilu Tema Rabbi Meir. You could say our Mishnah aligns itself with the opinion of Rabbi Meir. Hasam over there, Kivia, by the vineyards, the poles in the ground are set in place. They're placed to hold up the vines. So they're like, I don't know if it's not so movable. It's like stuck into the ground. Hacha over here, loikivia, we're talking about things that could easily be moved around. Let's say that the oven could be easily picked up and moved away. So that's not included in the sale. Rabbi Meir would agree to that. It's by the kerem where the tashmishe kerem are stuck into the ground. The poles that hold up the vine are stuck into the ground. There, Rabbi Meir says that's included in the sale of the vine. Says the Gemara, wait a second. One of the things that are not included in the sale is a lock. A lock, dumya dedelis ktani. It says mafteach, which is very similar to a door. In other words, the Mishnah says the door is included in the sale, the lock is not. Now, there's many different types of locks. Sometimes there's movable locks and sometimes locks that are set into the door. It seems that our Mishnah is referring to a lock that's really punched into the door, and you'd have to unscrew it to take it apart, and that's not included in the sale. Ma delis the kviya, af mateach the kviya. Even delis is set into the house, so also the lock is considered to be set into the building. And nevertheless, the lock is not included in the sale. So we see that things that are really that the house can do without, or you could unscrew it and take it out easily, so that's not included in the sale. So according to our Mishnah, if you were to translate the author of a Mishnah to a kerem, our Mishnah would hold by a kerem. If you sell a vine, the vine is sold, but not the tashmishi kerem, which includes the poles, which can easily be plucked out of the ground. So it must be our Mishnah does not align itself with the opinion of Rav Meir that held mocha as a kerem, mocha tashmishi kerem. Alamachvartem must be masnisin the like Rav Meir. Our Mishnah is not like align itself up with the opinion of Rabbi Meir. Let us do two more Tana Rabbanans, and then we'll stop. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, If you sell a house, mochas adelis, the door is part of the contract. Ves haneger, ves hamanil, a neger and a manil of a leis meteach. The key lock is not included, but the bolt locks are included. Let's say if they have a picture over here. Neger is this. I think neger is that. I don't know. Is that that nail? I guess that holds the bolt that holds this door locked, and also the briach, which is the rings around connected to the wall. Right. That's what the Mishnah says. Now, but not the lock. You're selling the machteshes that's set into the wall, the mortar that's part of the building, but not a mortar that's not part of the building. It's a roibel, the millstone, kelis, not the funnel that feeds the wheat into the millstone. Tanner, the oven is not included in the contract. Kirayim, and not the small oven. Not the millstone itself. I guess certain part of the millstones, which are movable items. Now, what happens? The Tanakama holds that even if you have a movable item, and now you make it unmovable by mounting it onto the wall. Let's say I give you an example. You have a bookshelf. So a bookshelf, you can have a bookshelf that's movable. But let's say you built in the bookshelf. So you built it. First, it was movable. And now you built it as part of the house. According to the Tanakama, it's considered to be a movable item and not part of the sale. I remember when I bought my house, the guy said, I'm selling you the house, but the built-ins are not included because it was built in later. First, it was built as a movable item, and now he put it into the house, so it wasn't part of the contract. Rabbi Lezer disagrees with that. Kol hamachuba lekarka, once something becomes connected to the ground, harehu kakarka, then it becomes part of the karka, part of the land. Once he built in the closets, once he built in the bookshelves, so now the bookshelves become part of the contract. It becomes like the door, and it's part of the sale. That's Rabbi Lezer's opinion. But if you put into the contract, I'm selling you in the house and everything that's in the house. Then everything is sold. Probably a bed is included, the refrigerator, any movable item. But nevertheless, even if you wrote everything in the house is included into the sale contract, what's not included in the contract is like the water pool that's on the side of the house, or the water cistern that's on the side of the house. I guess it was very expensive to make. That's not included into the sale of the house. Not the shed, because this is different than the house. The house you're selling and the contract you're selling, I'm selling you the house the way I lived in the house, the way I used the house. But the water pool is not part of the contract. And so also the storage shed behind the house is not included in the contract. We'll just end off over here with one line. Tana Rabbanim, the rabbis taught regarding a mikvah. Tzina shechakaku l'soif kavo, poisels mikvah. Let's say you have a pipe over here. I'm going to give you the picture. Here's a water pipe. You have a rain coming through the roof into this pipe, which goes into the mikvah. Now, it has to be rainwater. But if this water pipe was first movable, right? It was a movable water pipe. So if it's a movable water pipe and you didn't connect it to the ground, then if the water went through the movable water pipe, then the mikveh is posel, is invalid because it's mayim she'uvim, mayim that was drawn. That's not kosher for a mikveh. It has to be sincere rainwater. But if you had it movable and then you cemented it to the ground, and now the rainwater hits the pipe and goes into the mikveh, what does the Brisa say? Tzinar shechakako l'soif kavoi. First you hollowed out the pipe and then put it into the ground. Poisels mikveh. The mikveh is puzzle because it was originally a movable item. Now, just because you set it into the ground doesn't mean that it's part of the ground. Kavoi, first you had it in the ground. Basically, there was no pipe there. And then you excavated a pipe, a passageway. Eina poisels mikveh, it would not invalidate the mikveh. And now the Gemara wants to know, money, who is the author of this brisa? Like Rabbi Lezer, Rabbana. It can't go according to Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Lezer said that Rabbi Lezer seems to say that even if something is immovable and you connect it to the ground, it becomes like part of the ground. And here the Mishnah says it doesn't become part of the ground because it passes the mikvah. So our Mishnah doesn't, that brisa does not go according to Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, we will stop right over here. And that's this discussion of tomorrow's daf, was who's going to be the author of this brisa. A guten Shabbos.